We have talked about this year's Business of the Year at the FOF board table for a while now. And this was the year that the stars really aligned, and it was a perfect choice. And there was very little, in fact, there was no debate at the table about this year's recipient. Doug Willies is going to come forward and make the presentation.
Thank you, Maggie. I can assure you I would have never been in one of your 8 o'clock classes. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing the Business of the Year. And as Maggie said, it is appropriate and there is no debate. Not only are they deserving, but it is also their 25th year. They just celebrated their 25th year. And not only have they been a centerpiece of Main Street, downtown, for those 25 years, but they're thriving, and they just recently expanded. And of course, I should say, it's Sportech. And you step back and you ask yourself, with the challenges that Main Streets across the country face, and Oneonta no different than others, the center of a study to figure out what can we do to revitalize downtown Main Street is ongoing. How have they succeeded? In the face of the evolution of big box retailers, think about it, Kmart came and went, thankfully. Walmart came, still here. Dick's Sporting Goods wasn't even in existence then. But Sportech has survived, has thrived, has grown to the benefit of all of us. How have they done that? I think that, stepping back and looking at that is instructive to the project to analyze Main Street and what can be done to be revitalized. First off, I think they built on a foundation that was already there. Jim Constanti's Sporting Goods dates back to the mid-50s. And in my opinion, most organizations that have a strong foundation respect, honor, and appreciate those that came before that built that foundation. I think Sportech did that. But they weren't constricted by that foundation, as evidenced by the name change. If they were trying to trade on the goodwill of Jim Constanti, they would have kept it Jim Constanti Sporting Goods. But that's really the past. The future was different. And Sportech, the name change, is evidence of that recognition by the owners. Secondly, they collaborated. Most people would tell you that if you're going into business, do it yourself. Don't have a partner. And certainly don't have 4 partners. If the first is difficult, the next, the 4 is impossible. And if you really want to go suicidal, have those 4 partners be couples. I love it when I see Mary Madeline and James Carville on TV. I'm just going, I mean, how does that work? And I'll let Sportech explain how the couples of being owners works, because I have no idea. They've also, thirdly, they've made an environment that is, in their own words, fun, friendly, and knowledgeable. And for those of us that have benefited by them being in business for 25 years, we all know you walk in there, you're greeted, regardless of the weather and the time of year, by people that you know, people that are happy to see you, and people that can answer questions and really care about you. And that just doesn't benefit the customer, but it also benefits the employees that work there. In my opinion, it's rather remarkable that sitting at the table with Nancy and Bob and Ed and Cameron are 2 employees, Mike and Ralph, who've been with them, in Bob's words, forever. And that doesn't happen unless you have an environment that is really fun, friendly, as well as knowledgeable. I think back when I came to this town in '79, I remember looking for hardware on weekends to do a project. And hardware stores were closed at noon on Saturday. I'm going, Sportech led, prior to being forced by big box retailers, led being open on customer-friendly hours. They were open at night, they were open weekends, and that's just one small indication of their approach to being customer-friendly. They're involved. They're involved with the community through philanthropy, volunteer work, and the hiring of many of our children to work in their stores. There's 50-something individuals that have grown up in Sportech during their high school years, providing that, again, customer-friendly, community-oriented environment, plus the benefit of people who are knowledgeable about what they're selling. Another point, they've evolved. Initially, they were just traditional sporting goods. If you go in there now, it is anything but traditional sporting goods. The skis, the bikes, clothing, footwear. It's much different than it was before. They bring a passion and knowledge to the business. And that passion and knowledge is basically the underpinnings of that is they use the products that they're selling. So when you speak with them about a ski or a bike or a piece of footwear or clothing, they're selling it because they believe in it, because they've used it. And I'll just finish before I ask them to come up here to be recognized with a little personal anecdote, if you don't mind, and just to prove the point about their knowledge of the product that they use. I'm a habitually late shopper. December 23rd kind of kicks me into gear. Sometimes it's December 24th. And I know I can depend on Sportech to help me out. So when I'm in there on, somewhere around the 20th, 23rd, 24th sometimes, picking out clothing for my wife Rhonda, Nancy's side by side with me. She knows Rhonda, she knows her taste, and Nancy's on top of fashion. Spend hours with Nancy, selecting out, and then she's going to package them up for me. And I go to pick them up, and they're all different. I said, Nancy, what happened? And she said, well, Bob looked at what we picked out, and he said that that's not Rhonda. And Bob changed the selection. So as I said earlier, they're intimately involved in the products that they sell. I'll leave it to Bob to explain why he knows more about women's wear than Nancy. With that, I'd like to ask the Sportech people, Cameron and Ed, Nancy and Bob, to come on up here and be recognized for what they've contributed to the community. Good? Please.